Now, what if I told you that a coin that's sitting in your pocket could be worth a small fortune? I'm talking about a coin that could make you a millionaire. Seriously, a coin worth up to $1.6 million. I know, it sounds crazy, but stick with me. Today, we're diving into the mystery of the 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, that penny, the one you probably dismissed as just a penny. Well, buckle up because I'm about to show you how a tiny coin from 1988 could change your life. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be checking every coin in your change jar. Alright, let's start with the basics. If you've ever looked at a penny, you've probably noticed the little mint mark. It's usually a tiny letter under the date on the front of the coin. That mark tells you where the coin was made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But here's the thing. In 1988, there was an accidental coin made without any mint mark at all. Now, don't go running off to your coin jar just yet. There's a reason why this specific penny is so valuable. It's not just about the missing mint mark, it's the rarity of it. You see, most of the 1988 pennies were struck in Philadelphia, and they have that P mint mark. But every now and then, there's an anomaly, a coin that didn't get the mint mark, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Here's where it gets fun. This penny, which should have a mint mark, is missing it, making it extremely rare. And when you find a coin like this in great condition, it can be worth anywhere from a couple of $100 to, believe it or not, $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.6 million. No, I'm not joking. If you've got one of these hidden away in your collection, or you happen to find one in a roll of pennies, you could be holding on to a small fortune. And I'm not just talking about some random auction price. I'm talking about actual sales where these coins have sold for mind-blowing amounts. But how do you know if you've got one? Well, first off, look for that missing mint mark. If it's missing, that's step one in your treasure hunt. Now, don't expect to find one just lying around in your change. These coins are super rare, so if you come across one, you're probably holding on to a piece of numismatic history. Now, let's talk about the condition. A penny that's been banged around in your pocket or stuck to the bottom of your laundry basket probably isn't going to fetch millions. But if you find one that's in mint condition, we're talking barely anywhere, shiny and crisp, you could be in for a serious payday. And I know what you're thinking, but I don't even know how to grade a coin. Don't worry, I've got you covered with that too. When you're grading your penny, pay attention to these things. Is it shiny? Does it have a nice glow? That's a good sign. The detail. Can you clearly see Lincoln's features and the date? The sharper the details, the better. The surface. Look for scratches or marks. The fewer imperfections, the more valuable it is. If you find one of these rare 1988 no mint mark pennies in good condition, you might want to get it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. A solid grade can make a huge difference in its value. The higher the grade, the higher the price. Now, let's talk about a little story of mine. A few years ago, I was at a local coin show, just browsing, having fun, and chatting with dealers. I overheard someone talking about a rare penny they had just sold for thousands of dollars. Naturally, I was curious, so I asked to take a look. Turns out, they had found an old 1988 penny with no mint mark. It was in near-perfect condition, and they sold it for a small fortune. I couldn't believe it. I went home and checked every single penny in my collection, convinced I was sitting on a gold mine. Sadly, no such luck. But it sure opened my eyes to how valuable some coins can be. And now, I'm passing that knowledge on to you. So, what have we learned today? The 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the rarest and most valuable coins out there. If you happen to find one, especially in mint condition, you could be holding on to a true treasure. Remember, these coins can sell for up to $1.6 million, but only if you've got the right condition and the right buyer. But before you run off to check your piggy bank or grab that jar of loose change, don't forget the most important thing. Subscribe. Yep, hit that button below and join the coin-loving crew. I've got more tips and tricks for you on how to spot rare coins, what they're worth, and how to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. If you've ever wondered if your pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth anything, stick around. There's more to this hobby than just collecting. It's about finding hidden treasures. And who knows, you might be the next person to discover a coin worth millions. Have you ever been digging around in your spare change, thinking you've found a little gem? Well, What if I told you that one of those pennies could be worth a mind-blowing $1.7 million? Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Today, we're talking about the 1987 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it's got collectors going wild. Stick around because you might have one of these hidden treasures sitting in your change jar right now. You're probably thinking, how on earth could a penny, which is worth, well, a penny, be worth $1.7 million? Well, buckle up because it's a bit of a wild ride. The 1987 D Mint Mark penny is no ordinary penny. It's one of those rare cases where a tiny mistake in the production process creates a collector's dream. See, the penny was supposed to have a regular, well-struck design, but some of the coins that came out of the Denver Mint were, let's just say, a little off. Maybe the mint worker had a long day, or maybe it was just one of those freak accidents in coin-making history, but somehow, a few 1987 pennies ended up with an extra design flaw that made them super valuable. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How can a simple penny become a $1.7 million coin? Great question. This is where the rarity factor kicks in. Most of the 1987 D pennies are just, well, pennies. But the ones with that minting error are so rare that they've become one of the most sought-after coins by collectors. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're sitting in your living room, maybe watching your favorite Netflix show, and you're snacking on some chips. You grab a handful of change from your couch cushions because, let's be honest, that's where we all keep our spare change, right? And then, bam, you spot it. A 1987 D penny that looks a little different. You do a double take. Wait a minute, this thing looks off? Well, my friend, that could be the one in a million penny that makes you a fortune. Let me tell you about a time I found a coin that I thought was going to be worth a small fortune. It was a 1970s quarter, and I had read about how rare ones could go for hundreds of dollars. I was feeling like a coin genius. So, I took it to my local coin dealer with my chest puffed out, all excited. I asked, "How much is this worth?" He looked at it for a solid 30 seconds, then gently handed it back and said, "This is just a regular quarter." Talk about a letdown. But hey, the real takeaway here is that sometimes you really can find a gem. And if you're lucky enough to find a rare 1987 D penny, you could be holding on to something worth millions. Now, how do you tell if you've got the real deal? First off, look for the mint mark. It's that little D on the front of the penny, right under Lincoln's chin. If you find one from 1987 with that mint mark, you're halfway there. The next step is checking for those specific errors. The most common flaw on the 1987 D penny is a double die or misaligned die. This means the design looks like it's been stamped multiple times, creating blurry or doubled features. If you think you've got one of these coins, you've got a potential gold mine on your hands, so next time you're looking through your change, don't just toss out those pennies without giving them a second glance. You never know. Your next lucky find could be worth a fortune. And while not every penny is going to make you a millionaire, it's always worth checking. Who knows? That $1.7 million 1987 D Mint Mark penny could be sitting in your change jar right now. And if you want more tips, tricks, and coin secrets to find rare and valuable treasures, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got more amazing finds to share with you, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big coin discovery. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay lucky, keep collecting, and I'll catch you next time with more tips to turn your spare change into real change. You might want to stop what you're doing and take a good look at that penny you've been tossing around. Because, guess what? You could be holding a $1.90 million coin in your hand and not even know it. Yup, that's right, $1.9 million. All for a penny. And before you roll your eyes and say, "Sure, and I've got a pet unicorn at home," stick with me. I promise you're going to want to hear this one. This penny, folks, is not like the others. Today, we're diving into the 2000 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might be wondering, what in the world is so special about a penny that's literally been in circulation for decades? Well, buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your piggy bank like it's a treasure chest. So, let's start with the basics. You've probably seen a ton of pennies over the years, right? And if you're anything like me, you've probably tossed a few into the jar, thought about their worth, and then never thought of them again, until you need some change for the vending machine. But here's where it gets wild. There's this one penny, the 2000 no mint mark Lincoln penny, that's worth a lot more than its 1 cent value. How much, you ask? Well, the current market value is, drumroll please, a whopping $1.9 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1.9 million. That's more than the price of a nice car, a down payment on a house, or even a small tropical island. Okay, maybe not an island, but you get the point. Now, before you think, this sounds like a scam, let me explain why this penny is so valuable. Normally, pennies have a mint mark on them, which tells you where they were produced. But for some reason, the 2000 penny, well, it was missing that mint mark. That's it. That little thing, just a tiny D or S, didn't show up. Sounds simple, right? But that's exactly why these pennies are so rare and valuable. There was an error during production, and it wasn't something that was intentionally made by the mint. And you know what rare things are worth, right? Kaching. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but hold on a second. I've got a ton of 2000 pennies, and they all have mint marks. Well, that's because most of them do. The missing mint mark is the glitch, the mistake, and that's why finding one is so special. Take a good look at that. Looks just like any old penny, doesn't it? But trust me, this could be the one you've been looking for. Here's a fun fact for you. The 2000 no mint mark penny is a highly sought-after anomaly, and coin collectors go bananas over this stuff. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, just browsing, when I spotted this old shoebox full of loose change. You know, the kind of box your grandma has in the back of her closet that you'd never think twice about. Anyway, I decided to take a look because, well, I've got a soft spot for coins, obviously. I pulled out a couple of old pennies, didn't think much of them, but then, bam! I found this 1999 penny with a mint mark that was, let's just say, weirdly smudged. No one else cared, but something about it made me hold on to it. Fast forward a few months and I found out that it wasn't just any penny. It was a rare one with a minting error. Was it worth $1.9 million? No, but it sure was a nice little find that got me hooked on coin hunting. And that, my friends, is how I got started on this whole finding valuable coins obsession. So, what do you think? Do you have a 2000 no mint mark penny lying around somewhere? Or maybe you're now taking a closer look at every penny you've ever dropped. Either way, here's the thing. It pays, literally, to know what's in your pocket. This little coin could be sitting there, just waiting for the right buyer, and you wouldn't even know it. If you've enjoyed this wild coin adventure, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, there's more where that came from. I've got tips, tricks, and coin strategies that can help you find some hidden treasures, and who doesn't love finding free money? So, make sure to subscribe, like, and maybe even share this with a friend who's got a whole jar of pennies lying around. Have you ever had a moment where you look at a coin in your pocket, wondering if it's just pocket change, or if it's secretly worth a fortune? Well, I had one of those moments recently, and it changed the way I looked at every coin I've ever tossed into my jar. Picture this. You're rummaging through your change and boom, you find a 1964 D Lincoln penny. It's just sitting there, looking innocent, but little did you know, it could be worth millions. Yes, millions. I'm talking about a $2 million penny. This guy's pulling my leg. But hold on, grab your magnifying glass and get comfortable because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your wallet like a pro. So, sit tight. And let's dive into what makes this 1964 D Lincoln penny so valuable and why it's making headlines in the coin world. Alright, let's break this down. We all know the Lincoln penny, right? It's the coin with Abe's face. You've seen it 1,000 times. But what makes the 1964 D penny special? First, let me give you a little background. Back in 1964, the US Mint produced billions of pennies. But here's the kicker. Most of them are made from copper and zinc. However, due to a crazy fluke, it was like the coin gods had a bit of fun that day. A handful of these pennies were struck with a serious minting error. The 1964 D pennies have what's called a double die error, meaning that the die used to stamp the coins was misaligned, and some pennies were stamped with a double image. That means when you look closely, like really closely, you'll see that Lincoln's face, the lettering, and the date are all a little bit blurry and doubled. Now, why does this matter? Well, it doesn't take a coin expert to know that errors like this are super rare. Imagine if your favorite sports team had a doubleheader, but one of the games was played on a Wednesday in a secret location. That would make it super rare, right? It's the same idea. These double die errors happen by chance, and when they do, they make a coin much more valuable. So, let's talk money. The 1964 D Lincoln penny is a sought-after piece in the world of coin collecting. In fact, a penny with this error has been sold for as much as $2 million at auction. I mean, you might think that's crazy, but collectors get wild over these things. And let's be real. If you had a 1964 D penny just chilling in your collection, wouldn't you want to cash in on that? Here's where it gets interesting. You're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these golden tickets? Well, it's all about inspecting the details. You've got to look for that double die error. The most obvious places to look are Lincoln's chin, his beard, and the year 1964. But honestly, don't take my word for it. Get a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and get to work. Sometimes, the error is so subtle that it takes a trained eye to spot it. Trust me, I've spent hours staring at coins thinking, this is it, only to realize it was just a regular old penny. But here's a funny story. A while back, I was going through a box of old pennies from my grandfather's collection. I thought I hit the jackpot when I found a 1964 D penny. I was already thinking about my beach house in the Bahamas, but then I looked closer. No double die error. Not a single extra Lincoln chin to be found. Let me tell you, the disappointment was real. But hey, it's all part of the thrill of the hunt. Now, just because you don't find $1 million penny in your spare change doesn't mean you're out of luck. There are plenty of other rare coins out there that can turn your coin collection into a small fortune. But before we get into that, let's talk about how you can get your hands on these rare finds and maximize the value of your collection. The 1964 D Lincoln penny isn't just a piece of history. It could be your ticket to big bucks if you have one with the right error. Remember, you're looking for that double die mistake, and when you find it, you could be sitting on a small fortune. If you've got any pennies from 1964 or other old coins lying around, make sure to check them out. Get a magnifying glass, or better yet, head over to a professional coin dealer and get their opinion. You never know, what you thought was pocket change could be worth way more. And hey, while you're at it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting. I've got tons more tips, tricks, and coin hunting strategies coming your way. Don't miss out on the next big coin discovery. Alright, folks, we need to talk about a penny. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. But not just any penny. This one has a twist. It's worth a whopping $2.1 million. A penny. Can you believe it? I'm not pulling your leg here. Stick around, and I'll tell you exactly why this little copper coin could change your life. Now, when I say penny, what comes to mind? Probably that sad, lonely little copper coin at the bottom of your wallet, just taking up space. You know, the one you toss in the jar next to your couch. I mean, let's be honest, who's getting rich off a penny, right? But wait, let's hit pause on that thought. Because if you have a 1972 penny in your pocket with a very specific feature, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Most of these pennies were minted with a little D for Denver, or a S for San Francisco. But some sneaky pennies were made without a mint mark at all. That's right, a 1972 penny with no mint mark could be worth over $2 million. You heard me right. It's like finding a golden ticket in your wallet. Except, instead of candy, you get a fortune. How could I have missed this? Trust me, I've been there. I'll get into a personal story about that in a sec. But first, let's break down what makes this penny so special. The reason the 1972 no mint mark penny is so valuable is because it's incredibly rare. It's an error coin, which means it wasn't supposed to exist. So, imagine the number of regular pennies minted in 1972, and then picture a tiny, tiny fraction of those pennies coming out with no mint mark. That's why collectors go crazy for these things. It's like a coin version of a hidden treasure. Okay, so I have to admit, I used to not pay much attention to pennies. In fact, I tossed them into my drawer, barely giving them a second thought. But one day, I got curious and started looking into coin collecting. And wouldn't you know it, I found out about the 1972 no mint mark penny. I was digging through my change, pulling out pennies left and right, like a kid in a candy store. I swear, I found at least 5 pennies in my couch cushions, but none of them were the one I was looking for. I tell ya, I was ready to start my own treasure hunt reality show with all the pennies I was hoarding. But eventually, I found out that there was a catch. Most of these rare pennies end up in the hands of seasoned collectors, auction houses, or, well, people who just happen to get lucky. And it wasn't me. But that doesn't mean it can't be you. Alright, now let's talk about how you can spot this elusive penny in your own collection. First things first, no mint mark. That's the easiest way to tell if you've got one of these bad boys. You'll need to check the back of the penny, right under Abraham Lincoln's chin. Normally, you'd see a D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If you don't see anything, congratulations, you might have a gem on your hands. Also, look closely at the coin's condition. The better the condition, the more valuable it is. If yours has scratches, dirt, or heavy wear, it's going to be worth way less than a penny in mint condition. Now, you might be wondering, how much are these things actually selling for? Well, in 2018, a 1972 no-mint mark penny in mint condition sold for over $2 million. Yep, you read that right. $2 million. Can you imagine? I was joking around with my buddy that I'd sell one of those for enough to retire on the spot. Sadly, no luck on my end. But hey, if you find one, it could totally be your ticket to living your best life. And look, it's not like you have to spend years hunting through coins like a professional treasure hunter. You just have to know what to look for and maybe check your spare change every now and then. That's it. And this story is just one example of how rare coins like the 1972 no-mint mark penny can hold crazy value. So, if you love the idea of finding hidden treasures, or you just like learning about cool coins that might be worth something, this channel is where you want to be. So, there you have it. A little penny that could be a big deal. If you ever find a 1972 no-mint mark penny, or you've got any other cool coins hiding in your collection, don't just toss them aside. You never know. You might have the next million-dollar coin on your hands. And hey, if you want more tips on rare coins, how to spot valuable ones, or just some fun facts about the crazy world of numismatics, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what I've got coming up next. You could be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next video, where I'll probably be hunting for even more coins that could change my life. Ever thought your pocket change might actually be worth a small fortune? I'm not talking about those random bills tucked in your jeans pocket. I'm talking about a penny. A 1994 penny, to be exact. And no, this isn't some late-night infomercial trying to sell you magic beans. Stick with me, because this one penny might just be worth $2 million right now. Yup, you heard that right. It could be sitting in your jar of loose change, making you an instant millionaire. Cut to a shot of various pennies being tossed into a jar with a cha-ching sound effect. I know what you're thinking. A penny? 2 million bucks? Someone's been sniffing too many glue sticks. But trust me, this story is for real, and today, I'm going to tell you all about the 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's sending collectors into a frenzy. You don't want to miss this, so hit that subscribe button right now, because you're about to find out how to turn your pennies into precious treasures. Host sitting at a table, surrounded by various coins, including the 1994 penny. Narrator, leaning forward, all right, let's dive into this. You probably know the basics about pennies. They've been around forever. But this one, my friend, the 1994 penny, has a unique twist. Normally, every penny has a little mint mark. You know, that tiny letter that tells you where it was made. A D means it was struck in Denver. An S means it came from San Francisco. And P, well, that's for Philadelphia. But here's where things get wild. The 1994 penny that's worth millions doesn't have a mint mark at all. Cut to a close-up of a 1994 penny with no mint mark, as the host points it out. Yup, this is a no mint mark penny. But what's the big deal? Well, that's where the mystery comes in. A lot of people thought it was just an error, a fluke. And it turns out, it's one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in existence. Some of these rare no-mint mark 1994 pennies have been auctioned for more than $2 million. Insane, right? Cut to a clip of a shocked host reacting to a $2 million auction price. I know, you're probably thinking, why didn't I keep my old pennies from 1994? We've all been there. But don't worry, I've got a story to tell you about how I almost threw away something valuable, and it's going to make you cringe. So here's the deal. A few years ago, I was going through my coin collection, more like clutter collection, when I found an old jar of pennies from my childhood. I was like, these are just pennies. Who cares? But then, a friend who's into coin collecting told me to double-check the years and mint marks. And guess what? I found a penny from 1982 with no mint mark. It wasn't worth millions like the 1994 one, but it was still worth a pretty penny. Let's just say, if I'd thrown it out, I would have regretted it forever. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the value of your spare change. Take a closer look, especially at those pennies that might seem too common to care about. This 1994 no mint mark penny could have been sitting in your jar this whole time, waiting to make you a millionaire. And it's not just about this penny. Other coins can be worth crazy amounts of money too. If you've got a good eye and a little patience, you might just find something rare enough to sell for thousands or more. Scene transitions to the host standing, holding a few coins in one hand. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, how do I find one of these rare pennies? Well, here's the thing. It's all about knowing what to look for, where to look, and a little bit of luck. But here's the good news. I've got a ton more tips on coins that are worth money, and I'm going to be sharing them all in my upcoming videos. So, if you want to learn how to find these hidden treasures and maybe cash in on some unexpected wealth, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join me for more coin collecting tips. Trust me, you'll want to be in the loop when the next big discovery happens. And hey, who knows? The next millionaire coin could be yours. So, grab those pennies, dust off those old coins, and remember, you might just have a small fortune hiding in plain sight. Now, how many of you have a random penny sitting around in your junk drawer, just kind of chilling there, collecting dust? I know I do. I've got a bunch of them, all sorts of years and mints. But here's the kicker. One of those pennies could actually be worth a fortune. No joke. I'm talking about a 1973 D Lincoln penny that's currently valued at a whopping $2.3 million. Yep, you heard that right, $2 million. Now, before you grab your magnifying glass and start digging through your piggy bank, hold up. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill coin. So, let's dive in and talk about why this penny is worth more than a small house and how you can tell if you've got one hiding in your collection. It's 1973, the world is grooving to the tunes of the Bee Gees. Watergate is happening, and you're at the store buying a loaf of bread for a few dimes and pennies. Who would have guessed that, tucked away in the rolls of pennies from the Denver Mint, a tiny mistake would later make one penny worth millions? But what exactly makes this penny so special? Well, it's all about a minting error. You see, the 1973 D Lincoln penny had a little issue. Some of them were overstamped with an incorrect die. When this happens, the coin becomes a double die, meaning the design gets imprinted twice, or even more, in slightly different positions, causing a slight overlap. And boom, that's when things get interesting. Coin collectors and numismatists went crazy for these pennies because they're rare. I mean, how often do you come across a coin that's not only old, but also has a freak accident in its creation? It's like finding a vintage vinyl with a manufacturing mistake that somehow becomes worth a fortune. It's like hitting the jackpot in a thrift store. Now, here's where things get even crazier. Most of the 1973 D pennies you'll find in circulation are totally normal. No special die errors here. So if you're holding on to a regular 1973 D penny, sorry to say, you're not in the $1 million club. But if you happen to find that special one, you could be looking at an insane payday. And just to clarify, you don't need a magnifying glass the size of a telescope to find it. You can actually spot the double die with the naked eye, if you know what you're looking for. The most noticeable feature is the doubled letters in the word Liberty and the date, 1973. Sometimes the double impression is a little subtle, but if you catch it just right, it'll look like a smudged or blurry letter. It's not just the 1973 D that's valuable. There are other coins with similar errors, but this particular one became so sought after that it set a record with that $2.3 million sale. And you know what? I've actually had a run-in with a similar situation. Host chuckles and leans back in chair. So, funny story, about a year ago, I was going through some old coins I'd inherited from my great uncle. He had this giant jar of random pennies, nickels, and dimes. I thought, it's probably all junk. But just for fun, I started sorting through them, looking for any potential gems. I pull out a penny from 1972. It looked normal, but then something caught my eye. A bit of wear around the edge made it look different. I took a closer look and boom, I realized that it had a little extra doubling around the letters. Long story short, it wasn't worth millions, but I did end up finding a pretty rare coin that made me a solid profit. But that's the thrill of it. You never know when you could find something that's worth way more than its face value. Just like that 1973 D Lincoln penny. It's like being a treasure hunter but on a budget. Now, if you do happen to find this magical penny, there are a few things you need to do. First off, get it authenticated. I know, it sounds like a hassle, but it's totally worth it. You'll want to get it graded by professionals so you can actually sell it for top dollar. The value can vary depending on its condition, but hey, wouldn't it be amazing to find out you've got $1 million coin just sitting in your change jar? So, here's the deal. Keep an eye on your pennies. That little 1973 D could be the golden ticket you've been waiting for. But even if you don't find one, remember that there are plenty of other rare coins out there that could be worth some serious cash. If you're into coin collecting or just want to make sure you're not tossing away a fortune with your loose change, hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips and strategies to help you uncover valuable coins hiding in plain sight. And hey, if you find a 1973 D penny that's worth $2.3 million, don't forget who gave you the heads up. So, hit that like button, drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that made you do a double take, and of course, subscribe for more. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your pockets always be full of rare coins. Imagine you're going through your change at the local coffee shop, and there, nestled between some crumpled bills and a handful of quarters, you find something that makes your heart race, a 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, you might think, this is just a penny, right? It's got to be worth, like, a cent? But what if I told you that very same penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.4 million? Yup, you heard that right, $2.4 million. So, buckle up, because in the next 30 minutes, we're going on a wild ride through the world of rare coins, the mystery behind this particular penny, and how you could be holding on to a potential gold mine without even realizing it. But before we dive into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on future coin tips and tricks. Alright, let's get into it. First, let's talk about why this 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is so special. On the surface, it looks like any other penny you've seen in your life. Coppery, about the size of your average coin, and with our OL buddy, Honest Abe, staring up at you. But trust me, this one's different. And the way it differs, my friends, could change your life. You see, the 1979 D penny isn't just any regular penny. It's what we call an error coin. And let me tell you, error coins can be wildly valuable. But before you start pulling out your entire coin jar to search for 1979 D pennies, let's clarify. This isn't every single one from that year and mint. Nope, there's a specific kind of mistake that made this penny so incredibly rare. So, here's what went down. The 1979 D penny was struck with a die that was either worn out or misaligned. As a result, some of these pennies ended up with a unique double die error, meaning the design on the coin is doubled or offset. This is what makes the coin so valuable. Error coins, especially ones with such noticeable flaws, are highly sought after by collectors and can fetch insane amounts of money. And get this, there's a well-documented 1979 D double die penny that sold for a whopping $2.4 million. Yeah, a penny, worth more than most cars, and in some cases, more than a house. Can you imagine finding that in your spare change? One person did, and their bank account is probably still glowing. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's great, but how do I even know if I have one of these 1979 D pennies that could be worth millions? Well, my friend, the answer lies in detection. You're going to need to carefully inspect the coin for the double die error, which, in this case, shows up as a doubled image on Abraham Lincoln's date and sometimes on the lettering around the rim, look at the date. If you see a shadow or a second image of the numbers, that's your sign. Check out the word Liberty and In God We Trust. If those words appear doubled or look a little blurry, then it's time to get excited. Lastly, make sure to use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Trust me, you won't catch these details without some serious zoom. I have a personal story that's going to make you laugh or cry, depending on how you look at it. A few years ago, I was going through a box of coins I'd inherited from my grandfather. Nothing really fancy, just old pennies, nickels, and dimes. Mostly wheat pennies and some random foreign coins. I thought, what the heck, maybe there's something valuable in here. After a quick glance, I tossed a few pennies into a pile to check later. And I'll admit, I didn't think much about them until one day. I heard about a rare coin being worth millions. Intrigued, I pulled out a few of my oldest pennies and, well, you can guess what happened next. One of them, a 1979D, had the exact kind of double die error I was looking for. Not a $2.4 million coin, mind you, but still worth more than the average penny. Moral of the story? Always double-check your coins before dismissing them. You never know when you might be sitting on a small fortune. So, there you have it, the story of the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. While most of us are just trying to collect enough pennies to buy a cup of coffee, some lucky person is sitting on a coin that could change their life. Now, if you're like me, you'll definitely be checking your change a little more closely after watching this. And trust me, there's always more where this came from. There are hundreds of rare coins out there just waiting to be discovered. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises and opportunities. If you want more tips, tricks, and strategies to help you spot hidden treasures, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You never know when the next coin worth millions will cross your path, and with a little bit of luck and a lot of knowledge, it could be your coin. Thanks for tuning in, and happy hunting. Keep an eye out for those rare pennies, and who knows? Maybe the next $2.4 million coin is hiding in your pocket right now.